Sugar Rush by Tyla Walker.
I hope you have a sweet tooth.
I do, actually. But only for specific things.
You mean like for Miss Tyla's website where she keeps her uncut, ad-free stories?
Well, not exactly.
Then it must be the promo code SAVE40 that gets you 40% off of any digital products on TylaWalker.com.
It's not it either.
Then what for?
I was thinking more along the lines of you.
Keep dreaming, baby.
This is Tyla Walker's Sugar Rush.
Chapter 1. Zara. Another day, another dollar. Or at least, that's what I hope. The financial district hums with the sounds of power suits and clicking heels. My food truck, Sugar Rush, stands out like a peacock in a flock of pigeons. Bright pastels and swirly fonts shout out our name, but it's the smells that really pull people in. I flip the sign on the window from closed to open as I've done for years now. Then I get to whipping up another batch of lavender honey creme brulee, torch in hand. The aroma mingles with the usual city scents, car exhaust, street vendor hot dogs, and a hint of ocean breeze. Hey, Zara, got any of that salted caramel apple pie parfait left? I look up to see Amanda, one of my regulars. She's balancing a coffee cup and her phone while flashing me a hopeful grin. You bet, I reply, reaching into the refrigerated section. You know you can't start your day without it. She laughs, sliding her card through the reader as I hand over the parfait. You're a lifesaver, she says before heading back into the concrete jungle. But behind my confident smile, worry gnaws at me. Rent's due. Suppliers need paying. And last month's sales didn't exactly set any records. A couple more weeks like this and I'll be out on the street. What do you recommend? A new customer asks from the open window. Depends on what you're in the mood for, I say, smiling. If you're feeling adventurous, try the lavender honey creme brulee. He nods thoughtfully. I'll take one of those. As I prepare his order, I can't help but look out into the nearly desolate street. This time last year, there would hardly be standing room around my trailer. College kids hung over from a night of partying, wanting a sweet pick-me-up. Or business people in suits ordering a dozen cupcakes for the office in an attempt to kiss some ass to make up for their late project. It's rather bittersweet, just seeing this one lone customer in line. Really puts into perspective how much things have changed in what seems like such a brief period of time. The morning rush is finally slowing down, if you can even call it that anymore. And I'm just about to make a run for the restroom when I see an official-looking envelope poking out from under the windshield wiper of my truck. My heart skips a beat. It's never good news when it comes in an envelope like that. I tear it open with trembling fingers, eyes scanning the letter. Due to new city regulations, my stomach drops as I read further. My prime location permit is being revoked. I slump against the truck, feeling like the wind's been knocked out of me. This spot is my only hope. It's the first you see when you turn the block, and my loyal customers know where to find me. Without this spot, things won't fare well for Sugar Rush. Hey, Zara, you okay? Amanda's voice pulls me back to reality. She must have doubled back for a cupcake this time. I guess she's decided calories be damned. I quickly fold the letter and stuff it in my apron pocket. Yeah, just got some bad news. She frowns, concern etched on her face. What happened? My permit's getting revoked, I say, my voice barely above a whisper. New city regulations. Her eyes widen. That's ridiculous. You've been here forever. Tell that to City Hall, I mutter. I'm sorry, Zara, this sucks, but you've never been one to sit idly by. So channel your inner bad bitch and stick it to them, Amanda says, while waving her middle finger around flagrantly. You're a mess, I tell her, my feelings currently too raw to engage with her humor. You better get to work before Bossman takes you to his office. Well, if that's the case, I'll take the long way around, she says with a wink and a wave. It's closing time, so I lock up the truck and pull out my phone. I need to talk to someone who gets it, someone who knows the struggle. Jade's number is on speed dial. Hey, sis, Jade answers after a couple of rings, her voice a comforting balm. Jade, I start, swallowing hard. I need to talk. What's wrong? Her tone shifts to immediate concern. My permit's getting revoked, I blurt out. New city regulations. Silence hangs for a moment before she speaks again. That's bull. Sugar Rush is a staple on that damn block. I know, I say, my voice shaking. I don't know what to do. If I lose this spot, Sugar Rush is done. Jade lets out a frustrated sigh. There has to be something you can do. You can't just give up. I have an idea, I admit, feeling a knot of fear tighten in my chest. But it's risky. What is it? Jade asks, her voice firm and supportive. I'm thinking of organizing a protest, I confess. Get other food truck owners together, make some noise, force the city to reconsider these regulations. That could work, she says thoughtfully. But it's going to be tough. You know how stubborn they can be. I know, I reply, biting my lip. But I can't just sit here and do nothing. Jade pauses before speaking again. You're stronger than you think, Zara. And you're not alone in this. I'll help you however I can. Tears prick at my eyes at her words. Thanks, Jade. It means a lot. We'll fight this together, she promises. I take a deep breath, feeling a bit more hopeful with Jade in my corner. You've got this, Zara, Jade reassures me again. Thanks, sis. As we hang up, I feel a renewed sense of determination wash over me. This fight isn't over yet.
Chapter 2. Ethan. I probably should have dressed in all black like the Grim Reaper, seeing as I'm on my way to ensure the businesses set up on McCabe Street receive their ordinance paperwork today, as opposed to this less than mediocre disguise of jeans and an Astros hoodie. My assistant may have had to use her rescue inhaler when I asked her if she could go to the local boutique and grab me a pair of jeans and a hoodie, or something inconspicuous. It's a far cry from my usual three-piece Armani suits, and despite my attempt, I feel like I stick out like a sore thumb. I stride down the bustling street, blending in with the crowd, or at least trying to. I need to see things from the ground level, get a real feel for what's happening on McCabe Street. The scent of freshly baked pastries and brewed coffee hits me like a sweet punch to the senses. My eyes zero in on Sugar Rush, the food truck causing quite a stir in the financial district. Its bright, playful design stands out against the gray of the city. When it's my turn to order, I step up to the window. She's there, Miss Zara Johnson, looking like she owns the place. Because she does. At least that's what the paperwork tells me. Her curly hair frames her face perfectly, and those almond-shaped eyes, they're like magnets. What can I get for you? Her voice is smooth, professional but warm. Midnight mocha, surprise, I say, catching her gaze. Her hands move quickly, expertly assembling my order. It's clear she knows what she's doing, every motion purposeful and practiced. When she finally hands me the dessert, our fingers brush. A spark shoots up my arm, unexpected and intense. Her eyes meet mine, wide and surprised, like she felt it too. For a second, time freezes. Her eyes are mesmerizing. Did you need something else? She asks kindly. No, thanks. I take the dessert from her hand, our fingers lingering for a heartbeat longer than necessary. Her skin is warm against mine, a stark contrast to the cool San Francisco breeze. You're welcome, she replies, her voice a touch softer than before. I step aside to let the next customer through, but stay close enough to watch her work. She's back in her groove, but there's a new tension in the air between us. It's electric, palpable. I dig into my dessert, and it's incredible. The flavors explode in my mouth. Sweet, salty, creamy, all perfectly balanced. It's like she's taken the best parts of comfort food and elevated them to an art form. "You make this?" I ask between bites. "Every bit," Zara replies without looking up from her work. "It's amazing," I say, genuinely impressed. "You've got real talent." "Thanks," she says again, this time with a hint of pride in her voice. I watch her interact with other customers, each one leaving with a smile and a delicious treat in hand. It's clear she's built something special here, something worth fighting for. Finishing my dessert, I can't help but feel a mix of admiration and something else, something deeper that's hard to put into words. All I know is that I'm not ready to walk away just yet. The crowd thins out a bit as lunchtime ends. I lean against the counter, savoring the last bite of my dessert. Zara's busy cleaning up, her movements quick and efficient. As she looks up, our eyes meet again. There's a glint in hers, something knowing. "You know," she says, wiping her hands on a towel, "it's pretty hot out here to be wearing a black hoodie." I blink, taken aback, and fumble for words. I spilled coffee on my t-shirt this morning, and I'm a little embarrassed," I say, hoping she buys it. She smirks, crossing her arms over her chest. "That's the worst, isn't it?" I chuckle, scratching the back of my neck awkwardly. "It's a travesty." Her smile doesn't waver, but there's a steely determination in her eyes now. She turns her back to me, seemingly preparing something. Shortly after, she turns back around, a frappuccino in hand. "Here, not only will this cool you down, but I can guarantee it's probably better than the chain store coffee you probably had this morning." A smug smile gracing her face. The passion in her voice is undeniable, and I find myself even more drawn to her. "You seem pretty confident." "Confidence comes from knowing your worth," she says simply. "And you seem to understand confidence, considering you're over here reeking of alpha male. You're overpowering the scent of honey and molasses." I find myself doubling over to laugh. She's a spitfire, I like that. I nod slowly, appreciating her resolve. "Fair point." She raises an eyebrow. "So, are you here to hold up my line, or—" "Actually," I interrupt before she finishes, "I'm here because I wanted to see what all the fuss was about." "And?" she challenges. "And," I continue, leaning closer to match her intensity, "I understand why people love this place." For a moment we just stand there, eyes locked in a silent battle of wills. Finally, she breaks the silence with a small laugh. "I'm flattered," she says, her tone carrying slight sarcasm behind it. "Well, actually, there's something else that I may have come by for," I reply, scratching my head. "And what might that be? A discount on a bulk order of cupcakes? A fundraising opportunity? Oh, are you one of those people who do taste tests and do Yelp reviews?" she says with a smile, putting her hand on her hip. A hip that has a nice long pair of legs attached to them. But I digress. "Not quite," I say with a snide grin. "I'm not in the market for pastries. I'm in the market for a fiancée."
Chapter 3. Zara. Hold on. I have to take these cupcakes out of the oven. Be right back. I close the window and seek refuge in the corner of my truck. Had you told me that Ethan Williams would be coming to my food truck, asking me to be his fiancée, I would have asked you what kind of drugs you were on. I thought for sure Pretty Boy was on his way over here to put a tire iron on my truck and tell me to scram. He's not fooling anyone with that terrible attempt at civilian clothes. He sticks out about as bad as a giraffe in a leotard would. But I'll just play along with his little ruse out of pity. There is no mistaking what I heard him ask. He asked me to be his fiancée. And while I know there must be an obvious reason for him propositioning a stranger for their hand in marriage, little does he know that I could also have a trick up my sleeve. What better way to handle my problem than straight at the source? I know Mr. Fancy Pants CEO is responsible for all these new regulations and codes and the downfall of my business. Hell hath no fury than a woman who is losing her food truck. I quickly weigh my options, knowing he will soon get aggravated by my sudden but seemingly necessary distraction. I can suck it up, pretend like a doting fiancée to a rich prick for a little bit, or start looking for waitressing jobs in the local newspaper. I count to 5, steady myself, and return to the window. He stands there with a smug grin on his face. I really don't like the face you're making right now, I say while staring at him. His eyes narrow slightly, and he lowers his hood. That's funny. Most people tell me they like my face. Wow, so humble, I say, my words dripping in sarcasm. You're quite the catch, sir. Ethan chuckles, but there's no humor in it. Smart and sassy. I like that. Flattery won't get you free dessert, I reply, crossing my arms. He takes a deep breath, eyes scanning the bustling street before settling back on me. All right, cards on the table. I'm the reason for the new regulations. I put on my best surprised face. You are? I'm Ethan Williams, CEO. My board thinks the financial district needs to be more exclusive. Less clutter, more high-end appeal. He looks almost guilty for a split second. That means no food trucks. So you're putting me out of business to make your rich buddies happy? Pretty much, he admits, unflinching. Anger flares in my chest, but I clamp down on it. This is not the time to lose my cool. Why are you telling me this? Because I need something from you. He leans closer, voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. And that something is a fiancé? I ask, genuinely curious now. Correct, he says, accompanied by a nod of his head. He then straightens up, looking every bit the confident CEO the tabloids portray him as. My company's going very public soon. Investors like stability. A settled-down CEO looks better than a bachelor with the revolving door of dates. And you think pretending to be engaged to me will solve that problem? He nods, his gaze steady and unyielding. It wouldn't hurt. I laugh, the sound sharp and incredulous. You're insane. Maybe. He shrugs. But if you agree, your food truck stays right where it is. I have to muffle my audible gasp. There is no way he is just automatically eating out of my hand. Not a chance that it can be this easy. I had already fully debated an overzealous CEO scandal and blackmail to be able to keep my food truck. This is playing right into my hands, but I need to act more appalled by his bizarre question. I try to channel the 2 acting electives I took in high school. You're certifiable if you think I'm going to pretend to be your fiancé. Ethan's jaw tightens, but he doesn't back down. Hear me out. No, I cut him off, turning to wipe down the counter, needing something to conceal my mischievous grin. This is ridiculous. I don't care what you're offering. He stands there, unwavering. You'll lose your truck, Zara. Sugar Rush will be gone. My hand still. That's the gut punch. Losing this truck means losing everything I've worked for. Every late night perfecting recipes. Every dollar scraped together. I take a deep breath, facing him again. I don't need your charity or your absurd proposals. It's not charity, he says firmly. It's a business deal. You get what you need, and I get what I need. I stare into his blue eyes, trying to gauge his sincerity. This is my ticket to save Sugar Rush and maybe even push back against those damn regulations. I narrow my eyes at him. What's in it for me besides keeping my spot? A hefty paycheck, he says smoothly. Enough to expand your business or whatever else you want to do. Get paid to pretend to be engaged to Ethan Williams for 6 months? Do you know how much baking supplies that check would probably buy? I ask myself. How do I know you'll keep your word? I question. You'll have it in writing, he assures me. Ironclad contract. I chew on my lower lip, weighing my options. This can save Sugar Rush and give me the financial cushion I desperately need. But am I cut out for this? Can I tolerate this man for the duration of me keeping my truck? Fine, I say finally. But we do this my way. This is just business. I say slowly, more to myself than to him. Exactly, he nods, sensing a crack in my resolve. But I have conditions, I continue, my voice stronger now. Name them. We do this my way, I state firmly. You don't get to dictate every aspect of this arrangement. Fair enough, he agrees without hesitation. And you have to nix the regulations, I add, crossing my arms again. A smirk tugs at the corner of his lips. I figured that was part of the deal. I look away, chewing on my lower lip again. This is crazy. But what choice do I have? Desperation makes people do crazy things. Fine, I say finally, meeting his gaze once more. I'll do it. His smirk turns into a full-blown grin. You won't regret this. Oh, I'm sure I will, I mutter under my breath before turning back to my counter. Ethan reaches into his pocket and pulls out a sleek business card. Call me when you're ready to hammer out the details. I take the card, glancing at the embossed gold lettering before slipping it into my apron pocket. I'll be in touch, he says before walking away. Fantastic, Mr. Williams, I say with an eye roll and a brush off. As he disappears into the crowd, I let out a long sigh. This is just business, Zara. Just business to save your dream and maybe even change those damned regulations. With a deep breath, I steel myself for what's to come. This is going to be one hell of a ride.
Chapter 4. Ethan. I tap my fingers on the polished surface of my desk, glancing at the clock for the 5th time in as many minutes. Zara was supposed to call. It's been 3 days since we struck our unusual deal, and the silence is getting under my skin. I'm not a man used to waiting. With a frustrated sigh, I push back from my desk and grab my keys. If Zara won't come to me, I'll go to her. The financial district buzzes with the lunchtime crowd as I navigate through the streets. The air is thick with the aroma of food trucks offering everything from tacos to Thai food. But I'm focused on one truck, the one with a pastel pink and white exterior that stands out like a beacon. Sugar Rush, I mutter under my breath as I approach. There she is, handing out a dessert to a smiling customer. Her curls bounce as she moves, and her eyes scan the crowd. The moment she spots me, her gaze sharpens, but she doesn't miss a beat. Ethan, she greets, sliding open the truck window wider. Here for another midnight mocha surprise? Nope, I say, stepping closer so our conversation remains private. Came for confirmation today. Her eyebrow arches, but she nods and turns to grab one of the cupcakes on display. So, I start, leaning against the truck. You're still committed to our little arrangement? She hands me a cupcake, her fingers brushing mine again. This time, the spark feels more like a jolt. I agreed, didn't I? Her voice is firm, but there's an edge of defiance in her eyes. You didn't call, I point out, peeling back the wrapper and taking a bite. The cupcake is ridiculously good, sweet with just the right amount of tartness from some hidden berry filling. Busy running this place? She gestures around her truck. What do you want? An hourly update? I chuckle, appreciating her fire even if it's directed at me. Just making sure you're still in. She crosses her arms, leaning against the counter inside her truck. I'm in. What choice do I have? I nod slowly, understanding there's more at play here than just business for her. Good, I say finally. We start tomorrow. The penthouse smells of expensive cologne and fresh lilies. Zara sits on the couch, her curls cascading over her shoulders. Her eyes scan the room, assessing everything with the precision of a chef, evaluating ingredients. "We ready?" I ask, straightening my collar in the mirror. She stands, smoothing down her black sundress dress, one she specifically picked after rejecting half a dozen others. "Yeah, let's get this over with. Remember our story? Met at a charity event 6 months ago," she recites. "You fell for my charm and wit. I fell for your bank account." I chuckle. "Close enough." We practiced this backstory to death over the last 5 days, usually during her slower hours at the food truck. Each time she had this look of determination that almost made me forget it was all fake, until the look of disgust quickly accompanied it. She takes a deep breath. "Let's go." As we walk out, I instinctively place a hand on her lower back to guide her through the door. She stiffens immediately. "Not there," she hisses under her breath. I nod and move my hand to her shoulder. We went over her boundaries several times. I should have remembered. The elevator ride down is quiet, but not uncomfortable. Her presence has a calming effect despite her prickly exterior. When we reach the lobby, a black car waits outside. I open the door for her, and she slides in without a word. Once inside, she adjusts her dress and glances at me. "What's the plan again?" "You'll see," I say, my tone confident. I'm given an eye roll as a response. My driver takes Zara to a place she probably wouldn't expect, a juvenile rehabilitation center on the outskirts of the city. As we pull into the gravel lot, she looks at me, eyebrows raised. "A rehab center?" "Yeah," I say, parking the car. "I volunteer here sometimes. Thought you might want to see a different side of me." She snorts but doesn't argue, which I take as a small victory. We walk inside and immediately the energy shifts. Kids are scattered around, some playing basketball in the courtyard, others sitting in groups talking. It's a mix of noise and activity that feels strangely comforting. A staff member greets us at the entrance with a nod. "Ethan, good to see you again." "Good to be back," I reply before turning to Zara. "This is Zara." Zara extends her hand, her expression softening a bit. "Nice to meet you." We start the tour in the common area. "This place is for kids who've had a rough start," I explain. "They get counseling, education, and a chance to turn things around." Zara's eyes follow a group of teenagers laughing over a card game. "Do you work with them directly?" "Sometimes," I admit. "Mostly mentorship and fundraising." We move to the art room next, where vibrant paintings cover the walls. A girl sits at an easel, lost in her work. "This is impressive," Zara says softly. "She's got talent," I agree. We continue to the kitchen where a couple of boys are chopping vegetables under the watchful eye of a staff member. "This reminds me of your truck," I joke. Zara smiles genuinely for the first time today. "I bet they don't make lemon maple meringue here." "Not yet," I say with a wink. We head out to the basketball court where a group of boys are shooting hoops. Zara walks up, her curls bouncing with each step, and asks if she can join. The boys look at her skeptically at first, but she grabs the ball and sinks a perfect three-pointer. Their eyes widen, and suddenly, she's part of their game. "Not bad," one of the older boys, Mike, says with a grin. "You play?" "A little," Zara replies, smiling. "Used to be my way of blowing off steam." The kids warm up to her quickly after that. She's got this natural charisma that draws them in. Even the ones hanging back, the more reserved kids, can't help but watch her with interest. Zara takes time with each kid, asking questions about their lives, their dreams. She listens intently, giving them her full attention. It's clear they appreciate it. Most adults don't bother. "What's your favorite dessert?" one of the girls asks shyly. "Lavender honey creme brulee," Zara answers without missing a beat. "What's that?" The girl's eyes widen in curiosity. "It's this fancy dessert I make in my food truck," Zara explains. "It's got a crunchy caramel top and creamy custard underneath." "You should make it here," another boy pipes up. Zara laughs. "Maybe I will someday." We end up in the kitchen again where some of the kids are preparing dinner. Zara offers to help chop vegetables, and soon she's elbow-deep in carrots and celery alongside them. The wary kids hang around the edges of the room but watch her closely. It's clear they're curious, even if they're not ready to join in yet. By the time we leave, most of the kids are chatting animatedly with Zara, like they've known her for years. She's left an impression, one I didn't expect but am grateful for. As we walk back to the car, Zara looks thoughtful. "They're good kids," she says softly. "They just need someone to believe in them," I reply. She nods, her eyes meeting mine briefly before looking away again. "Thanks for bringing me here." "Anytime," I say sincerely as we get into the car and head back to the city.
Chapter 5. Zara. Ethan's car hums softly as we glide through the streets of San Francisco. I glance at him, catching the way his profile looks almost serene against the backdrop of the city skyline. Who knew Mr. Ruthless CEO had such a compassionate side? Watching him with those kids at the rehab center was like seeing another dimension of him, a gentler, more human side. "You were really great with them," I say, breaking the silence. His eyes flick towards me briefly before returning to the road. "They're good kids, just need someone to believe in them." I nod, sinking into my seat. For a moment, I felt relieved when he told me it was time to leave the center. But now, as I recollect, I can't help but think it's definitely something I'd be interested in volunteering for. Maybe a cooking class or something. "So what's next?" I ask, hoping our day is winding down. Ethan smirks, and it's infuriatingly charming. "Day's not over yet, sweetheart." "Great." I sigh inwardly, but keep my face neutral. "Where are we going?" "Press conference," he says simply. My heart does a somersault. "A press conference? You mean now?" He chuckles softly. "Yeah, now." I stare out the window, watching the world blur by. It's happening. This pretend engagement is about to become very public, very real. My fingers fidget with the hem of my dress as I think about what's coming next. "You'll do fine," Ethan says as if reading my mind. I give a half-hearted smile. "Easy for you to say." He pulls into a parking lot and kills the engine. Turning to face me fully, his blue eyes pierce through my facade of calm. "Remember why you're doing this," he says firmly. "For your dream." I swallow hard and nod. His conviction is contagious, making me feel like maybe I can pull this off after all. "Okay," I whisper, more to myself than to him. We exit the car and head toward the building where reporters are already gathered like vultures, circling fresh prey. Ethan takes my hand, his grip reassuringly firm. "You ready?" he asks. "As I'll ever be." The lights in the room blaze down on us, turning the press conference into a spectacle. Cameras flash, and the low hum of whispered conversations fills the air. Ethan stands beside me, every inch the confident CEO, while I try to match his poise. A reporter with horn-rimmed glasses raises his hand, and Ethan nods at him. "Ethan, why have we never heard of Zara before today?" The room goes quiet, all eyes and ears on us. My pulse quickens, but Ethan doesn't miss a beat. "We've been keeping it low profile," he says smoothly, his arm tightening around my waist. "Zara doesn't like to be in the spotlight." I manage a small smile, hoping it looks genuine. Another reporter jumps in before I can fully process the first question. "Zara, how do you feel about this sudden exposure?" I take a deep breath, my fingers curling slightly into Ethan's side for support. "It's a lot to take in," I admit, keeping my voice steady. "But I'm here for Ethan, and I believe in what we're doing." Ethan's gaze softens momentarily as he looks at me before addressing the crowd again. "We've decided it's time to share our story because we're serious about our future together," he says. And Zara is an amazing woman who deserves to be known. I can't help but feel a warm flush. No, not that kind. Of pride at his words. It's convincing enough that even I almost believe it. A third reporter with a skeptical look raises her voice. How did you two meet? Ethan jumps in again, his voice commanding yet casual. We met through mutual friends at a charity event. We clicked instantly and have been inseparable since. I nod along, grateful he didn't give me room to falter with more details. What's next for you both? Someone from the back shouts. We'll be focusing on our respective careers while planning our future together, Ethan answers effortlessly. More questions follow, but Ethan handles them like a pro. His answers weaving a narrative so tight, even the most cynical reporter would struggle to poke holes in it. Through it all, I play my part, smiling when needed, nodding in agreement, letting Ethan steer the ship. I feel like all is going well, and then someone in the back raises their voice above the din. Zara, are you only with Ethan for his money? The room goes silent, and I feel every eye turn toward me. My stomach knots up, and for a second I can't breathe. The question hangs in the air like a bad smell. Before I can muster a response, Ethan steps forward, his posture radiating authority. That's a ridiculous assumption, he says sharply, his eyes narrowing at the reporter. Zara has her own successful business. She doesn't need my money. His words are like a shield, protecting me from the harsh glare of judgment. I glance at him, surprised by the fierce look in his eyes. She's one of the most hardworking people I've ever met, he continues, voice strong and unwavering. And anyone who spends 5 minutes with her would know she's not here for anything other than what we have together. His defense warms something inside me. It's genuine, not just part of our act. I stand taller beside him, finding strength in his conviction. The reporter looks taken aback, but doesn't push further. The crowd murmurs, cameras still flashing, but with less intensity now. I squeeze Ethan's hand lightly as a silent thank you. He glances at me, giving a slight nod before addressing another question from the sea of reporters. Through it all, his arm stays around me, solid and reassuring. And for the first time since this whole charade began, I feel like maybe we really can pull this off. As we leave the stage and head back to the car, I finally exhale the breath I've been holding. Ethan looks at me with an unreadable expression before finally breaking into a small smile. You okay? He asks. Yeah, I say softly. Thanks for that. Don't mention it, he replies, his tone lighter now that we're out of the spotlight. We get into the car, and as he starts the engine, I can't help but feel a tiny spark of hope ignite within me. Maybe this crazy plan isn't so impossible after all.
Chapter 6. Ethan. After days of chaos, parading Zara around like some prize trophy, I figure it's time to give her a break. She's been a trooper, smiling for the cameras and handling the questions with a grace that I didn't expect. A thank you is in order. Maybe something low-key at my place tonight. I pull out my phone and shoot her a text asking her to meet me at the penthouse at 7 tonight. She replies quickly with an eye-roll emoji and an okay. I find myself oddly relieved by her quick response. Zara has this knack for rolling with the punches, and it's been impressive to watch. Still, she's human. She deserves some peace. At exactly 6:45 p.m., I start setting up. My penthouse isn't usually the backdrop for anything less than business meetings or the occasional rager with my closest friends. Tonight, though, it'll be different. I've ordered sushi from the best place in town. Figured I'd keep it simple but classy. By 7 p.m., the table is set with sleek black plates and chopsticks. I light a few candles for ambience, not that I'm trying to impress her or anything, and pour 2 glasses of sake. I hear the elevator ping and walk over just as she steps out. No reporters? No interviewers needing an MTV Cribs tour, she says, scanning the room with a smile. They don't get here until 9, I say, waiting to see her reaction. Her eyes turn to splits like she's Medusa about to turn me into stone. Just kidding, I say with a sly grin. I'm immediately socked in the shoulder with a punch that is far stronger than I anticipated from this petite woman. Zara walks through the foyer, her steps heavy with exhaustion. I can tell she's had a long day at the food truck. When she sees the table set for dinner, her eyes widen in surprise. You cooked this? She asks, disbelief lacing her voice. Well, no, the sushi restaurant down the street did, I grin. But I thought you could use a break. I take her coat, hanging it up on the nearby rack. She looks at me with a mix of gratitude and curiosity, probably wondering what's gotten into me. Come on, sit, I say, pulling out a chair for her. She sits down and I pour her a glass of red wine. She watches me carefully, like she's trying to figure out my angle. This is nice, she finally says, picking up the glass and taking a sip. Trying to get on my good side? Is it working? I smirk. She laughs again, more genuinely this time. No. Well, to be determined, I suppose. You didn't have to go through all this trouble, she says as she meddles with her napkin. Least I could do. I shrug, sitting across from her. You've been pretty damn good about all this insanity. She looks at me, and for a moment there's no fake engagement or hidden agenda. Just two people sharing a meal. You know, she starts as she picks up a piece of sushi with her chopsticks. I never imagined my life would lead me here. Yeah? I lean back in my chair, taking a sip of sake. Where did you see yourself? In control of my own destiny, she replies without hesitation. But hey, life throws curveballs. I nod, understanding more than I'd like to admit. A comfortable silence settles over us as we finish our meal. Zara leans back in her chair, looking more relaxed than I've seen her in days. You know, she starts, this is probably the best meal I've had in a long time. I'm glad you liked it, I reply sincerely. She gives me a small smile. Thank you, Ethan. Really? I nod, feeling an unfamiliar warmth spread through me at her words. This whole fake engagement thing might be complicated and messy, but moments like these make it feel worth it. We sit there for a while longer, enjoying each other's company without any pretense or pressure. It's nice, a rare respite from the whirlwind our lives have become since we struck this deal. After Zara helps me clean up, we go to sit on the balcony, the city lights flickering below us like a sea of stars. We spend the next hour talking like old friends, telling childhood memories and awkward stories. I've learned that I really enjoy her tipsy laugh. Zara leans back in her chair, swirling the wine in her glass. She looks at me with a mix of curiosity and something else I can't quite place. You know, this whole thing, it's crazy, she says, her voice tinged with amusement. I chuckle. Yeah, tell me about it. Fake engagements aren't exactly my usual business strategy. She laughs softly, her eyes sparkling in the dim light. You'd be surprised how often people assume things about me. Like what? I ask, genuinely interested. Well, she begins, taking a sip of her wine. For one, they think because I run a food truck, I must not have any ambition beyond that. I shake my head. Anyone who tastes your desserts knows you're destined for bigger things. She smiles at that, but it doesn't reach her eyes. Thanks. But it's more than that. More? I lean forward, intrigued. Zara hesitates for a moment, then looks away. Like people just assume because I'm an attractive woman nearing her early 30s, that I've had sex, she says quietly. And when men's first few pickup lines include, let's get out of here, or let me show you a good time, it doesn't bode well for a successful first date. I swear all the air has escaped my lungs. Zara, you're a virgin? The words are out before I have the chance to process how asinine they may sound. The words hang in the air between us, heavy and unexpected. I feel a surge of something primal and intense course through me. The idea of being her first, it's intoxicating. Yeah, you assumed I wasn't, right? See, it's not. I reach out and gently tilt her chin up so she's looking at me again. Her eyes are wide, vulnerable yet defiant. Zara, I say softly, leaning in closer. You don't have to explain yourself to anyone. She swallows hard, her breath hitching slightly. I know, it's just... I wanted you to know. Without another word, I close the distance between us and press my lips to hers. She gasps against my mouth but doesn't pull away. Instead, she kisses me back with a fervor that surprises us both. Her hands find their way to my hair as mine rest on her cheeks, pulling her closer. The taste of wine mingles with the sweetness of her lips, creating a heady mix that makes my mind spin. We break apart for air, our foreheads resting against each other as we catch our breath. Wow, she whispers, her voice shaky but filled with wonder. I grin down at her. Yeah, wow.
Chapter 7. Zara. His lips are warm and firm against mine, catching me off guard. My heart hammers in my chest, a mix of shock and something else I can't quite place. When he pulls back, I just stare at him, my mind racing. Ethan's cheeks are tinged with a deep flush, probably from the wine. His breathing is ragged, his chest rising and falling beneath the unbuttoned top of his shirt. Zara, he says, voice husky. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have. I cut him off with a raised hand, still processing what just happened. Why did you kiss me? His intense blue eyes search mine, filled with a mix of regret and desire. I couldn't help myself. I can't take it anymore. It's the way he's looking at me. Before I can think twice, I practically jump into his lap, straddling him. His eyes widen in surprise. But then he grins, that cocky smile making me want him even more. We crash together, our lips meeting in a fervent kiss. His hands grip my waist, pulling me closer, as if he can't get enough. I run my fingers through his tousled hair, feeling the softness against my skin. Ethan, I murmur between kisses, feeling breathless. Zara, he growls back, his voice low and filled with desire. Our tongues dance together, exploring and teasing. It's intoxicating. I can feel his heart pounding against my chest, matching the wild rhythm of my own. Every touch, every kiss feels electric, like we're igniting each other. His hands slide up my back under my shirt, sending shivers down my spine. I gasp into his mouth as his fingers trace patterns on my skin. My body responds eagerly to every touch, every caress. It's overwhelming and exhilarating all at once. I pull back slightly to catch my breath and look into his eyes. They're dark with desire, mirroring my own feelings. This is crazy, I whisper again. Zara, he murmurs against my collarbone, voice strained. If you don't want this to happen, you need to stop me now. You're driving me crazy. My breath hitches at his words. Do I want to stop? The answer comes immediately, a resounding no echoing through my mind. I shake my head slightly, my fingers tangling in his hair as I pull him closer. I don't want to stop, I whisper back, voice trembling with desire. But unfortunately, YouTube does. That's why we're cutting the fun a little short. But don't worry, you can still get your hands on these deliciously dirty details. Just go to TylaWalker.com and grab the unabridged Sugar Rush audiobook. Miss Tyla is even offering her YouTube audience a 40% discount. All you have to do is apply code SAVE40 at checkout, and you can get 40% off of any digital product on the site. Let's return to the story. The reality of the situation begins to settle in, and I feel a sudden urge to retreat. I guess I'll be going, I say hesitantly, starting to gather my clothes. Not a chance. Ethan replies firmly, stopping me in my tracks. First lesson in Sex 101. If a man asks you to stay the night with him, then he really enjoyed being inside you, and there's a possibility you'll get to experience that again. I laugh at his straightforwardness, the tension easing from my shoulders. Is that so? I tease, slipping on my underwear and catching the t-shirt he tosses me. Absolutely, he says with a grin. Now get your fine ass back in my bed. The shirt is soft and smells like him, a mix of clean laundry and something distinctly Ethan. I pull it over my head and climb back into bed beside him. Ethan wraps an arm around me, pulling me close against his warm body. The comfort of his embrace is undeniable, and I feel myself relaxing into him. For a moment, everything else fades away. The fake engagement, the stress of my food truck, and all that matters is this shared intimacy between us. We lie there in silence for a while, content just being close to one another. The exhaustion from the day's events begins to catch up with me, and my eyelids grow heavy. Good night, Zara, Ethan whispers softly, pressing a kiss to the top of my head. Good night, I murmur back, nestling into his chest.
You think you can catch me? You think you can tame me?
Oh, I know I can. And you know it too, baby.
I gotta tell you, you're not the first to try.
But don't worry, baby. I'll be the last.
With sass like that, maybe I'll be the one that needs to tame you.
Let's cut to the chase, big boy. What you selling me?
Your appetite is big AF. I have just the thing that'll satisfy you.
Oh, really? And what's that?
Over 120 hours of romance audiobooks. Brought to you by Tyla Walker Romances in the Big AF Audio Bundle.
120 hours? That sounds amazing.
Your knees won't work afterwards if I do my job right.
Don't make promises you can't keep.
Well, I can keep this promise. Because these audiobooks are unabridged with all the spicy scenes that will make you put your earbuds on. You know, Tyla can get freaky because she marked the bundle down by 69% for a limited time.
I can't wait to take this bundle for a ride.
Visit TylaWalker.com and get this audio bundle. Just don't start listening if you're going to be cooking dinner. Because you might just forget to feed your family.
TylaWalker.com. Escape your life with Tyla.
Chapter 8. Zara. The morning sun casts a warm glow over the streets as I hustle around my food truck, putting together a surprise lunch for Ethan. I can't help but feel like a schoolgirl with a crush, finding an excuse to see him. My mind keeps drifting back to last night. The way he felt, the way he made sure I enjoyed every moment despite my inexperience. Get it together, Zara, I muttered to myself, shaking off the giddy feeling. This is strictly business, with a side of hot sex now, apparently. I finished packing the lunch, something I whipped up quickly after my trip to the grocery store early this morning. I've also got lavender honey creme brulee, midnight mocha surprise, and a few other treats I know he loves. The memory of his hands on me, his voice low and commanding, makes my heart race all over again. With the lunchbox secured, I head out. The financial district buzzes with activity, people hurrying about their day. My heart beats faster as I approach Ethan's office building. This is crazy. What am I doing? But there's no turning back now. I walk through the revolving doors and approach the receptionist, trying to keep my cool. Hi, I'm here to see Ethan Williams, I say, hoping my voice sounds steadier than I feel. The receptionist gives me a once-over before nodding. Do you have an appointment? No, I admit, shifting the lunchbox in my hands. I'm his fiancée. Her eyes widen slightly. Oh, yes, of course, Miss Zara. I'm so sorry. I just haven't had the pleasure of meeting you in person yet. Please forgive me, she says as she blushes. Moments later, she awkwardly directs me to the elevators with a polite smile. As I'm walking through the bustling halls, I catch snippets of conversations, talks about mergers, quarterly reports, and client meetings. But then, something catches my ear. Zara Johnson. I freeze mid-step. and move closer to the source of the voices. It's coming from an office with its door slightly ajar. I inch closer, my curiosity piqued. "Can't believe Ethan's engaged to her," one voice says, dripping with disbelief. "Yeah, she's just a food truck owner," another voice chimes in, oozing condescension. What does he see in her? My blood runs cold as their words sink in. I grip the lunchbox tighter, feeling a mix of anger and hurt rise within me. "Maybe it's just for show," a third voice suggests. "You know how these CEOs are, shady as hell." I feel like I've been punched in the gut. Wonder what wifey dearest will think when she finds out he's still pushing for those new regulations, one man says, his tone edged with frustration. My heart skips a beat. They must be talking about the regulations that will destroy my food truck. "Yeah, he's a tool," another man agrees. "He's convinced it'll streamline operations in the district." I step closer, barely breathing as I strain to hear more. "I get it," a third voice chimes in. "But he's got to know it's putting a lot of people out of work. You'd think he'd have a little more empathy, considering his fiancée has prime property out there." "Empathy? From Ethan Williams?" the first man scoffs. "He's all about the bottom line." That's it. I can't listen anymore. Taking a deep breath, I march down the hall toward Ethan's office, trying to shake off their words. Just as I reach his door, it swings open and there he is, Ethan, looking as confident and put together as ever. As I step into his office, the warmth of his smile does little to thaw the icy grip of anger around my heart. The voices from the hallway echo in my mind, each word a fresh sting. "Hey," I say softly, holding up the lunchbox like it's a shield. "Brought you lunch." "Zara," he murmurs, taking a step closer. His concern is evident, but it only fuels my irritation. How dare he pretend to care when he's the one orchestrating all this mess? I set the lunchbox on his desk with a bit more force than necessary. "Here you go," I say briskly. "Enjoy." Ethan's brow furrows as he watches me. "Wait, what's wrong?" I laugh, a short, humorless sound that surprises even me. "What isn't wrong, Ethan? You drag me into this charade, and now people are talking about how I must be just a ploy, considering you're still pushing like hell for the new regulations." My voice rises despite my best efforts to keep it steady. His eyes darken with something unreadable. "Who the hell said that?" "It doesn't matter," I snap, stepping back as if his proximity burns me. "What matters is that you've made it clear that I'm just a chess piece in your game and that you're just a lying asshole." "That's not true," he says firmly, but I cut him off. "You know what? It doesn't matter," I say, forcing my voice to be calm, even though inside I'm boiling. "I was just going to drop this off because I've got somewhere to be." A lie, but I need to get out of here before I say something I'll regret. "Zara." "No," I interrupt, holding up a hand. "I can't do this right now." His expression shifts from concern to something harder, more controlled. "Fine," he says evenly. "I'll call you once I leave the office." I nod curtly and turn on my heel, practically marching out of his office. The elevator ride down feels like an eternity, and when I finally step outside into the bustling street, I take a deep breath of cool air. Anger and hurt swirl inside me as I walk away from the building. How could I have been so naive, sharing something so personal with him? What was I thinking? I feel my eyes starting to cloud, and I quickly push the thoughts away. I'll be damned if I let myself get distracted from the end goal, keeping my business. Pushing those thoughts aside, I head back toward my food truck, determined to lose myself in work and forget about Ethan Williams and his confusing world, for now at least.
Chapter 9. Ethan. I walk through the front door of my penthouse, the quiet swallowing me whole. Zara should be here by now. I sent her a text asking for her to meet me here at 6 this evening. She never responded. It's not like her to not answer my calls or texts. Something's definitely off. Zara, I call out, my voice echoing in the spacious living room. No answer. I toss my jacket over the back of a chair, already working on the knot of my tie as I make my way further inside. It's strange. She's never been distant before. Sure, we're pretending, but she usually plays her part with a smile, no matter how fake it might be. This seems personal. Zara! I shout louder, stepping out of my shoes and kicking them to the side. Still nothing. I head toward the kitchen, hoping to find some clue as to where she might be. As I pass through the hallway, I undo the top buttons of my shirt, letting the cool air hit my skin. The house is still eerily silent. She must have heard something more in the office today that really got to her. The way she looked at me, like she didn't know whether to scream or cry, keeps playing on repeat in my head. The kitchen is empty, just like every other room so far. My fingers drum against the granite countertop as I think about what could have upset her so much. Damn those guys at work for talking crap. If they only knew what she's done for me, what she means to me. I shake off that thought and head upstairs, my steps quickening with a mix of worry and frustration. Zara? I call again as I reach the bedroom door, already half open. Stripping off my shirt completely now, I step inside and scan the room. The bed is neatly made, no sign of her there either. I grab my phone from my pocket and dial Zara's number. The ringing seems to last forever, each tone adding to the knot tightening in my stomach. Voicemail. Damn it. I hang up and try again immediately. Still straight to voicemail. I start pacing the room, running a hand through my hair, disheveling it even more. My thoughts race back to that conversation and what she must have overheard. Those assholes. They have no idea what they're talking about. Come on, Zara, I mutter, hitting redial for the third time. Pick up. Voicemail again. This time I leave a message. Zara, it's Ethan. Where are you? Call me back as soon as you get this. I toss my phone onto the bed and head toward the bathroom, hoping maybe she left a note or something. Anything, to give me a clue about where she might have gone. The bathroom is just as empty and pristine as ever. No signs of use, no notes left behind. I grip the edge of the sink, leaning forward and staring at my reflection in the mirror. The worry in my eyes is unmistakable, but so is the determination. This can't be how this ends. The sadness I feel accompanying that thought has me sick to my stomach. My heart pounds louder with each empty room I search through in the penthouse. By now, I've tried calling her half a dozen times with no response. Returning to the living room, I slump onto the couch and try to think rationally for a moment. Maybe she's at her food truck, or napping. Both are possibilities, but right now they feel like weak hopes. Dialing her number again out of sheer desperation, I get ready to leave another message when... voicemail. Zara, please call me back, I say into the phone with a voice that sounds far calmer than how I feel inside. I'm worried about you. Dropping my phone onto the coffee table this time, I bury my face in my hands and take a deep breath. My mind races through our recent interactions. Was there something else that upset her? Something other than those jerks at work? I stare at my phone, the screen taunting me with Zara's silence. My frustration morphs into a gnawing sense of helplessness. That's when it hits me. Zara left an emergency contact number in our contract. Jade, her sister. I scroll through my contacts and find Jade's number. I hesitate for a moment, then press call. The phone rings twice before she picks up. Hello? Jade's voice is wary, guarded. Jade, hi. This is Ethan Williams, I say, trying to keep my voice steady. Zara's fiancé. There's a pause, then she laughs. A harsh, disbelieving sound. You've got some balls calling me Williams. I manage to get out, pacing the room again. I'm just worried about her. Oh, please, she scoffs. You expect me to believe that? You're just some rich asshole who... I cut her off. Look, I just really need to know where she is, if she's okay. She's fine. Jade's tone shifts from anger to something resembling concern, but still laced with skepticism. No thanks to you, though. I didn't do anything. My voice rises despite my efforts to stay calm. She overheard some idiots at work talking about something, and now she's gone AWOL. Good, she snaps back. Maybe she finally came to her senses. What the hell is that supposed to mean? My patience is wearing thin. It means she deserves better than you, Jade spits out, venom clear in every word. You're just using her for your own gain. You're taking advantage of someone's feelings who actually gave a damn about you. That's not true, I say, though it sounds weak even to my ears. Wait, Zara has feelings for me? Jade laughs again, a bitter sound that makes my stomach twist. If you got your head out of your money-hungry, Armani-covered ass once in a while, you would have noticed that. But no, you don't care. I care enough to be worried sick right now, I shout into the phone. Good. Stew on it some then, asshole, she says coldly before hanging up on me. I stare at the phone in disbelief, Jade's words ringing in my ears like a bad echo. Zara has feelings for me. What in the hell is going on? I slump back on the couch, running my hands through my hair. My thoughts race, each one louder and more insistent than the last. Damn it, Zara. Where are you? This isn't just about the business deal anymore. I can't deny it. I'm genuinely worried about her. The thought of her out there, upset because of something she overheard at my office, gnaws at me. It kills me to think that she might believe even for a second that I don't care about her. But do I care? Of course I do. More than I ever expected to when we started this whole charade. When she looked at me earlier today with those hurt eyes, it felt like a punch to the gut. The pain in her expression was so raw, so real. I couldn't stand it. I realize now that my concern goes beyond just keeping up appearances for the sake of the IPO. It's not about making sure the deal goes smoothly or maintaining my image in front of the press. It's about Zara. The way she lights up when she talks about her desserts. How her eyes sparkle with passion when she's explaining a new recipe. The warmth of her smile when she laughs at something genuinely funny. The way our hands touched that first time, sending an electric jolt through me that I couldn't ignore. I've tried to keep this professional, tried to remind myself that it's all just a means to an end. But every time I'm with her, those lines blur more and more. She's not some PR stunt. She's someone I can see myself with. I need to find her and make things right. Grabbing my phone again, I scroll through my contacts until I find the number for Zara's food truck. If she's there, I'll be able to hear her voice, make sure she's okay. The phone rings once, twice, then clicks over to voicemail. Zara, I say into the receiver, trying to keep my voice steady despite the rising panic inside me. It's Ethan. Please call me back when you get this. I hang up and drop my head into my hands, frustration boiling over again. This is more than just concern for a business partner. This is something deeper, something real. And if I don't fix it soon, I might lose her for good.
Chapter 10. Zara. The food truck fair buzzes with life around me, the smell of fried dough and savory meats mingling in the air. People laugh, music thumps, and kids dart between the trucks, clutching dripping ice cream cones. My own food truck, Sugar Rush, is swamped with customers. The line snakes down the block, a testament to older times. One lavender honey creme brulee coming right up, I shout over the hum, handing the dessert to a woman with wide eyes and a grateful smile. As I move through the motions, torching brulees, assembling parfaits, my mind drifts. It's been days since Ethan stopped calling. At first, his absence was a relief, a reprieve from the whirlwind he'd pulled me into. But now it gnaws at me. Did he just cut ties without so much as an explanation? I force myself to focus on the task at hand. A man in a crisp suit steps up next. Salted caramel apple pie parfait, he orders. Sure thing, I say, my voice brighter than I feel inside. My hands work on autopilot, scooping layers of caramel and apple into the cup. The rush of customers continues. Despite my busy hands and the constant stream of chatter, there's an emptiness gnawing at my chest. The thought that maybe what we shared was one-sided looms large in my mind. Was I just another pawn in his game? Another customer appears, this time a teenager with a skateboard tucked under his arm. Midnight mocha surprise, he says with a grin. I can't help but smile back as I prepare his order. But even that familiar request doesn't lift my spirits like it used to. The spark that Ethan brought into my life feels like it's flickering out. I hand over the dessert and watch him walk away before taking a deep breath and scanning the crowd again. The fare should be enough to keep anyone's mind occupied. Yet here I am, waiting for something that might never come. It's hard not to feel bitter about it all. For once, I'd let someone in. Shared parts of myself I'd kept hidden for years. And now, silence. The thought crosses my mind. Maybe Ethan didn't see me as anything more than a temporary fix for his problems. Maybe that's all I'll ever be, a fleeting convenience in someone else's story. Next, I call out, trying to shake off the melancholy that settled over me like a fog. A woman with twin toddlers approaches, both kids already eyeing the dessert display with excitement. There's a commotion of cheering that catches my attention, pulling me from my customers. I glance over to see what's causing the ruckus, and my heart skips a beat. Ethan stands on one of the tables in the eating area, arms raised high, his face lit up with that confident smile I know too well. People are recording him on their phones, laughter and shouts echoing through the air. Please excuse me, 1 second, I say to the mother who's been waiting quite a while with her screaming toddlers. I'm so sorry, I'll be right back. I wipe my hands on my apron and step out from behind the window. Curiosity tugging at me. Ethan, here? Why now? I weave through the crowd, trying to get closer to hear Ethan's speech. People murmur and nod in agreement around me, but his words are drowned out by the buzz of the fair. As I push forward, his voice grows clearer. San Francisco needs a leader who understands both business and community, Ethan declares, standing tall and confident. A leader who can bridge the gap between progress and compassion. My heart skips a beat. Mayor? All this time I thought he was just some spoon-fed CEO with a great body, but he's been running for mayor? Ethan's eyes scan the crowd, filled with determination. I believe I can be that leader, he continues, passion lacing his words. I've seen firsthand the challenges our city faces, from housing crises to small businesses struggling under burdensome regulations. My mind races as I absorb what he's saying. The regulations that nearly crushed my food truck, those were part of his grand political strategy. But change isn't just about policies, he says, glancing around at the faces watching him intently. It's about listening to people's stories, understanding their struggles, and working together to find solutions. The crowd murmurs in approval, some even cheering softly. I feel a mix of emotions, pride at seeing this new side of him, anger at being kept in the dark, and confusion about where we stand now. Ethan's gaze lands on me again, and for a moment, it feels like he's speaking directly to me. We need leaders who are willing to admit their mistakes and grow from them, he says, his voice steady. Leaders who will fight for what's right, no matter how difficult it may be. My breath catches in my throat as I realize the depth of his words. He's not just making empty promises. He's taking responsibility for his actions. As your mayor, Ethan continues, his voice ringing with conviction, I vow to put the people of San Francisco first, to support our local businesses and ensure that our city remains a place where dreams can thrive. The crowd goes wild, eating up everything Ethan is saying. And I'm so proud. While we're on the topic, who loves Sugar Rush? He shouts. The crowd erupts in cheers and applause. My cheeks warm at the unexpected attention. Ethan spots me in the throng, and his eyes lock onto mine. His grin widens, and he jumps down from the table, weaving through the crowd until he's standing right in front of me. Zara, he says, his voice softer now just for me. I've been looking for you. My heart pounds as I try to maintain my composure. What are you doing here? I realize something, he says, ignoring the curious stares of those around us. I was an idiot. An idiot? I cross my arms, trying to keep my guard up. He nods. I pushed those regulations because I thought it was best for business. But then I met you. And you showed me that business isn't just about profit margins and efficiency. He continues, his intense blue eyes boring into mine. It's about people, passion. The crowd seems to hang on every word, but all I can focus on is him. I made a mistake, Ethan admits, taking a step closer. But I want to make it right. My heart hammers in my chest as I stare at him, searching his face for any sign of insincerity. All I see is determination. What are you saying? I ask quietly. Let's talk, he says softly, taking my hand in his again. Somewhere a little more private. I look around and notice that all of Ethan's hype people from his speech are now staring intently in our direction, a look of impatience and wonder in their eyes. My heart pounds as I nod, knowing that whatever happens next will change everything. We managed to sneak behind the food truck without being followed. I guess everyone was more enthralled with the spectacle Ethan was putting on than pastries at the time, considering my line is now empty, so I don't feel bad about leaving customers abandoned. Ethan leans his back against the truck, eyes looking up to the sky, as if trying to summon some courage. I've made mistakes, he admits. His gaze never leaving mine, and I've hurt someone very important to me because of those mistakes. My throat tightens as he speaks, laying himself bare in front of me. The vulnerability in his voice is raw, real. You, Zara, Ethan says, are the most incredible person I've ever met. Passionate, driven, and dedicated to your dreams. I feel my eyes begin to cloud over as he pours his heart out. Zara, I'm sorry, he says, voice breaking slightly. I was so focused on my own goals that I lost sight of what really matters, you. I'm sure he hears my audible gasp. He takes a deep breath before continuing. I love you, Zara, Ethan declares, his voice strong and unwavering. And I promise to support you and your dreams. Always. The tears fall as he reaches for my chin and brings my face to his. He stops inches away from my mouth, looking into my eyes with a sincerity that takes my breath away. Can you forgive me? He asks softly. For a moment, all I can do is nod, overwhelmed by the rush of emotions coursing through me. Ethan's face breaks into a relieved smile before he pulls me into his arms. Our lips meet in a tender but passionate kiss. Everything else fades away. The noise, the people, leaving just us in that moment. When we finally pull apart, Ethan rests his forehead against mine and whispers so only I can hear. This is just the beginning.
Chapter 11. Ethan. I pace the length of my office, glancing at the clock every few seconds. Each tick echoes like a hammer in my chest. Damn it, where is she? My mind races through every possible scenario, some good, some bad, all driving me crazy. I rub my temples, trying to keep it together. The door creaks open and I whip around. Zara stands there, a grin lighting up her face. Well? I ask, unable to mask the anxiety in my voice. She steps forward, eyes gleaming. Mayor Williams. A rush of adrenaline hits me like a freight train. I close the distance between us in 2 strides, We collide, lips crashing together in a kiss that tastes of victory and relief. My hands tangle in her hair, pulling her closer as if I can merge our triumph into one moment. "You did it," she whispers against my lips, her voice filled with excitement and pride. I pull back just enough to look into her eyes. "No," I correct, breathless but grinning like an idiot. "We did it. You're amazing, Zara." She suddenly casts her eyes down and shuffles away from my embrace. "Ethan," she begins, voice shaky, "I need to tell you something. You're going to hate me." A chill runs down my spine. "What is it?" I ask, trying to keep my tone even. "I knew exactly who you were when you came to my food truck," she says with a frown. My eyes widen in astonishment. "Wait, what? You knew?" "Yeah," she admits, her smile growing wider. "I recognized you despite your clever disguise," she snickers. "I knew you were Ethan Williams, the CEO with a penchant for stirring up trouble." I'm floored. All this time I thought I had her fooled. "Why didn't you say anything?" She shrugs casually, as if it's the most natural thing in the world. "Because I secretly had my own agenda for saving my truck, blackmailing you." I can't help but chuckle. "You agreed to be my fake fiancée knowing all this?" I can't hide the surprise in my voice. "Yep," she says, popping the peas with a playful smirk. "I knew you were rich and had political influence. Not that you were going to be mayor, that's just an added bonus, but still." Her words hit me like a punch to the gut, but in a good way. This woman is something else. Smart, strategic, and full of surprises. "So all this time," I trail off, trying to wrap my head around it. "All this time since," she confirms, squeezing my hand again. "I wanted to see if there was more to you than just another rich guy throwing his weight around." "And?" I ask, my heart pounding as I wait for her answer. "And," she says with a twinkle in her eye, "you surprised me. You've got depth, Ethan. You care about people, more than just your image or your money." I let out a breath I didn't realize I was holding. "Zara, I don't know what to say." "I'm sorry, I understand if you're upset," she suggests softly. I laugh, the sound bursting out of me before I can stop it. I pull Zara closer, feeling her body melt against mine. "You know what this means, right?" I ask, my voice low and full of emotion. Her eyes search mine, curiosity and a hint of mischief dancing in them. "What does it mean, Ethan?" "It means," I say, leaning in until our noses touch, "that we're meant for each other." I capture her lips in a kiss, pouring everything I feel into that single moment. Her lips are soft and warm against mine, and I lose myself in the sensation. The world around us fades away until it's just Zara and me, tangled up in each other. When we finally pull apart, we're both breathless. She looks up at me with those big, brown eyes that I've come to adore more than I ever thought possible. "Meant for each other," she echoes softly, a smile playing on her lips. I can't help but grin back at her. "Yeah," I confirm. "Against all odds and crazy circumstances, here we are." She laughs lightly, resting her forehead against my chest. "It's insane when you think about it." "Insane but perfect," I agree, wrapping my arms around her tightly. We stand there in the middle of my office for a bit, wrapped up in our own little bubble of happiness, her curves against me in all the right places, and her sweet smell of honey and lavender driving me wild. It's been a stressful week, and I know just the thing to help me take the edge off. I walk over to the office door, feeling the weight of every step. My hand reaches for the lock, turning it with a satisfying click. The sound echoes in the room, punctuating the tension hanging between us. I turn back to Zara, my eyes locking onto hers. She looks at me, curiosity and anticipation mixing in her gaze. I start to undo my tie, sliding it out from under my collar and letting it hang loose around my neck. The fabric feels smooth against my fingers, a stark contrast to the rough desire building inside me. "Zara," I say, my voice low and thick with intent. I'm not done celebrating. She watches me, her breath hitching slightly as I take a step towards her. There's nothing I want more right now, I continue, closing the distance between us with slow, deliberate strides, than celebrating my accomplishments by fucking my first lady on this desk. Her eyes widen, a mixture of surprise and arousal flashing across her face. She takes a step back, bumping into the edge of my desk. I reach out, placing a hand on either side of her, caging her in. Her breathing quickens, matching the pounding of my heart. I lean in closer, our faces mere inches apart. "What do you say?" I whisper, my lips brushing against her ear. "You know you want to fuck the mayor and check it off your bucket list." Zara laughs as her eyes meet mine again, and she nods slightly, her lips parting as she struggles to find her voice. "Yes, Mr. Mayor," she finally breathes out. The word sends a jolt of electricity through me. My hands move to her waist, pulling her closer until our bodies are pressed together. I can feel her heart beating erratically in her chest, and it drives me wild. I lift her onto the desk with ease, pushing aside papers and pens to make room for what comes next. Zara's hands find their way to my shirt, fingers fumbling with the buttons in her haste. I capture her lips in a searing kiss, feeling the urgency between us escalate with every passing second. My hands roam over her body, exploring every inch of skin they can find. This moment is ours, raw, passionate, and completely unfiltered, and I'm going to savor every second of it. I lean in closer, my breath hot against Zara's ear. "You know, I've had a hard dick all night just looking at you in that little red dress." She gasps softly, her eyes widening. A shiver runs through her body as I press myself against her. "Ethan," she whispers, her voice trembling with a mix of excitement and anticipation. "At the end of the night," I continue, a smirk tugging at my lips, "I was planning to stick my vote in your ballot box." Zara's laughter bursts out, loud and infectious. It echoes around the room, mingling with my own deep chuckle. "Jade told me to say that," I admit between laughs, shaking my head at the ridiculousness of it all. Her laughter fades into a warm smile, and she shakes her head slightly. "My sister is something else," she says, still grinning. "She is," I agree, sliding my hands down her sides. I bunch up the hem of her dress in my fists, slowly pushing it up her thighs. The fabric slides up smoothly, revealing more of her almond skin. I take a step back to admire the view for a moment, before reaching for her lacy blue panties. My fingers hook under the waistband, and I pull them down with deliberate slowness. The sight of them sliding down her legs sends a surge of heat straight to my core. Once they're off, I slip them into my pocket with a satisfied grin. "I'm keeping these as a memento of the night," I declare, giving her a playful wink. Zara's eyes sparkle with mischief as she looks at me over her shoulder. "You better make it worth remembering then," she challenges, a sultry edge to her voice. "Oh, don't worry," I assure her, stepping back into the space between her legs and wrapping an arm around her waist to pull her close again. "This is just the beginning of the celebrations that will occur this evening." I lean Zara over the desk, feeling the cool wood under my palms. Her body bends obediently, her ass sticking out just the way I like it. I can't resist. My hand comes down with a firm smack, the sound echoing through the room. She gasps, her back arching slightly from the impact. "Fuck," she breathes out, her voice dripping with desire. I waste no time, my fingers working quickly to unbutton my slacks. The fabric loosens and I let them fall to the ground in a heap around my ankles. My boxers follow suit, freeing me from their confines. The cool air hits me, but all I can focus on is Zara's body in front of me. I grip my dick, positioning it right at her entrance. Her wetness welcomes me, and I can barely contain my excitement. "Hold on, baby," I warn her, my voice low and commanding. "It's going to be hard and it's going to be fast." She nods, bracing herself against the desk. Her fingers dig into the wood as if she's preparing for what's to come. Without another word, I thrust into her, hard and deep. The sensation is electric, her warmth enveloping me completely. A guttural groan escapes my lips as I set a relentless pace. Each thrust is deliberate and forceful, driving us both towards the edge. Her moans mix with my grunts, creating a symphony of raw passion that fills the room. I grip her hips tighter, pulling her back to meet each thrust with equal fervor. God damn, I mutter through clenched teeth. You feel so fucking good. Zara's breathy whimpers egg me on, pushing me to go even harder and faster. Our bodies move in perfect sync, lost in the rhythm we've created together. The desk creaks beneath us as we push it to its limits, just like we're doing to each other. Each thrust sends a jolt of pleasure coursing through me, intensifying with every movement. The sensation of Zara's tight, wet heat around my dick is almost too much to bear. I grip her hips harder, feeling the tension in my muscles as I push us both to the edge. I love you, I groan out, my voice rough and desperate. I fucking love you, Zara. Her response is a mixture of moans and whimpers, but I can feel her body reacting to my words. Her inner walls tighten around me, squeezing in rhythmic contractions that drive me wild. Who do you belong to? I demand, my voice a growl as I continue to pound into her. You, she gasps out, her voice trembling with the effort. I belong to you, Ethan. The words send a surge of possessive satisfaction through me. I can feel her body tensing even more, and I know she's close, so close. Come on this dick, I command, my voice thick with need. Now. With a final thrust, I feel her shatter around me, her cries filling the room as she comes hard. The sensation of her climax triggers my own release, and I let myself go completely, lost in the overwhelming pleasure that crashes over us both. We ride out the waves together, our bodies moving in perfect harmony until we're both spent and breathless. The room is filled with the sound of our heavy breathing as we come down from the high, still connected in every possible way. I pull up my pants, fastening them with swift, practiced movements. My heart still races from the intensity of what just happened. I glance over at Zara, her breath coming in soft, ragged gasps. Her skirt is bunched around her waist, and I can't help but smile at the sight of her, disheveled and completely mine. Here, I say softly, reaching to pull down her skirt and smoothing it over her hips. I straighten her hair with gentle fingers, brushing a stray curl back into place. She looks up at me with those warm brown eyes that never fail to captivate me. We have to go now, I tell her, my voice tinged with urgency. There's a meet and greet. I need to introduce you as my fiancée. She laughs, the sound light and musical. They already know I'm your fiancé, Ethan. No, I reply, shaking my head with a grin. For real this time. Her brow furrows in confusion as she watches me drop to one knee. The room seems to hold its breath as I reach into my pocket and pull out a small velvet box. I open it, revealing the ring inside, a perfect symbol of everything I feel for her. Zara Johnson, I begin, my voice steady despite the whirlwind of emotions inside me. Will you marry me? Her eyes widen in surprise and then soften with tears of joy. She nods vigorously before managing to whisper, Yes. I slip the ring onto her finger, feeling an overwhelming sense of rightness settle over me. We rise together, our hands intertwined. I love you, she says, her voice thick with emotion. I love you too, I reply, pulling her close for a tender kiss that seals our promise to each other. Hand in hand, we head downstairs to face the world together, ready to start our new future as an unstoppable team. You won't know what hit you, baby. I'm going to take you, break you, and make you mine. And when I'm done, you're...
Now hold on just a minute.
What?
I got something to say.
What's the meaning of this?
Now you may be some fine-looking white boy,
Got that right, baby. It takes hard work.
and you might got the money,
Fat stacks, baby, to spoil you with.
but that doesn't mean I'm going to give it up to you without a fight.
A fight?
You want some limp wilting flowers? Go to historical romance, baby. But you want sassy and spicy strong black queens that tame their alpha male bad boys?
I think our listeners do.
Then you go on and look at Miss Tyla's Bougie Brides and Billionaires audio bundle.
50 hours of me whispering the most romantic things in your ears. Fake marriages, alpha male billionaires, strong black women, steamy scenes that will make your eyes roll back. Everything wrapped up in a happily ever after that will put you in an afterglow.
Use code SAVE40 to get 40% off this bundle and any other digital product in Miss Tyla's store.
Unabridged and uncut.
Just like you,
You're gonna have to find out.
Tyla Walker Romances. Escape your life with sassy romance.